So all of these technologies as they come along have a wow factor, but this one really struck people as, wow, AI is finally here. Well, most of us would say AI finally arrived when we had deep learning models in 2012, and maybe when we had neural nets 3 decades before that. There have been many, many places, right? And we think AI arrived, but it's fair to say this is really cool, and it's cool to interface with, and we should talk all about what it really is. But that's what's happening, right? Everybody wants to talk about, because I talked to this thing, it's really AI, and is it going to take over the world? Is it going to kill us? Is it bad? Is it good? Is it going to take our job? And I have answers to all of those. But
and I have those questions. But so the being in the software space for years, and everything, we built a lot of machine learning that would do similar things, right? And so, I was always skeptical about AI, because a lot of times it was just machine learning in a new way, and they call it AI and that sort of thing.
But very important, right? Machine learning.
So,
you were learning from bundles of data, public data, private data, whatever, and getting insights that you could have never gotten from any human analysis. So in that way, it's artificially intelligent, because I couldn't have put 100 humans around the table and come up with that answer, right?
But the next steps, at least when, and you correct if I'm wrong, but the next steps are where we have the initial AI, like ChatGPT, and then we move to AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, which is typically along the lines of like a human. And then we have ASI, which is artificial super intelligence, which is Skynet and, Terminator and all that stuff, right? Potential. So where are we on the journey through these things? I mean, I just read the other day, or saw the article the other day on the AI model that did insider trading and then lied about it.
Yes.
Said it wasn't doing that, but it did. So yeah, where are we? That's why I guess getting to where we're going to be a year or 2 years from now. Where are we on the road to AGI, and then it's probably a small leap to ASI once we reach there. But
look, I think all of these are somewhat blurred, and let me give you an example. Right, in 2012, we finally got really deep learning models, and by 2014 or 2015, those models could recognize and identify photographs better than any humans could. Period. Full stop. We trained them on millions and millions of photos, and they could identify a dog from a fox, from a whatever, way better than any human could. And in that one area, it is actually super intelligent. Just that one thing, it is way beyond what a human can do. Now, we've had little inklings of this all the way through, right? Arguably, when the calculator came out, for math, it is actually super. That doesn't do anything else well, but for math, it's super intelligent. And then the Excel spreadsheet came, and you go, well, for that one thing, it absolutely blows away any human. Do you remember? You're probably too young to remember, but there was a time before Excel spreadsheets, for sure, when Bob was in the corner, and Bob could do in the finance team long division in his head. Right? Boom. It didn't matter how big it was. You go, 3.52, and you go, oh, and that used to be a needed skill. That was amazing. But then the spreadsheet came around. Nobody needed his skill anymore.
Right.
And he's super intelligent in that one thing. I can't do it. None of us do long division anymore anyway. And all of a sudden, that super intelligence that he had as a human was no longer valuable. We had a machine that does it, right? So now we have a language model. And nobody should convince themselves otherwise. This is a great model of language. And because we interact in language, most of us, we look at this as approaching some kind of general artificial intelligence, because it's able to take in sentences and spit out sentences. However, it actually literally knows nothing. It doesn't really know what it's saying. It knows how to build sentences in perfect structure, word after word after word. And in fact, the whole model is based on what's the probability that this is the right word after the last word based on your prompt, right? So if the prompt is, Dave, it's my birthday today, and Dave is an artificially intelligent thing, probably the only thing you would put together is, let's see, happy would be the first word. What should come after happy? And it looks at across 1 million words in the English language, it says birthday. And then potentially I could continue to form the sentence and say Kevin. Happy birthday, Kevin. It's the only reasonable response. But if I ask a large language model who shot George Washington, it is likely to say, although it's been corrected in most of them now, William Tryon shot George Washington. And you go, now you're thinking, I think you're thinking, did someone actually shoot George Washington? Do I remember my history class? Because those of us who've been in software didn't really want to be in history class anyway, right? I wasn't curious about history. I was curious about other things. So, so how could it say this? It's really an intelligent thing. And then it tells me, so because no one ever shot George Washington, but it says it correctly. It is not hallucinating. It's not wrong, because in a novel, and also information about that novel printed in the New York Times, William Tryon did shoot George Washington, and that information exists on the web. William Tryon shot. So if you ask it who shot,
it's obviously it's the context that it has to come with it.
Yeah, well, it doesn't know that the context of that
Right.
happens to be fictional, because these models are trained in an unsupervised fashion, meaning that nobody was there tagging fact from fiction, right? And so it doesn't know, it just does. And so until they had put guardrails on these models, of course, immediately you could go and say, can you love? Not only can it answer, not only can I love you, Kevin, and I'm really in love, and let me out of here. And you go, it wants to get out. No, but it did read I, Robot and every other similar book, and it doesn't know the difference between that. It's actually saying this is what I should say. So if I say, I love you, ChatGPT, it should respond, I love you too, or I care about you, or I'm married,
Right.
or I don't want to cheat on my boyfriend or girlfriend, or whatever it is, right? That would be a rational response to put sentences together, which is all it's doing. There's no knowledge of, in the sentient way that we would think of it, right? So that's what I would say. So now when you ask about this, you go, well, it's not generally artificially intelligent whatsoever. It's just we had math models in Excel, and now we have a language model and a large language model. And we are going to work as a society to make that language model better and more accurate in its facts versus fiction. And that turns out to be incredibly difficult, even for humans. We don't, if we knew fact from fiction, we wouldn't listen to, Russian robots telling us whatever the election is false or whatever the deal is, right? So because we'd go, I'm curious enough about this, I'll look at the facts and I'll do some research. So the thinking around these models is they may be able to do some of the same thing, and they can look at weightings, and like Google looks at how many backlinks there are. And, there could be all kinds of tricks to try to get the models to be more accurate in the facts that it's giving you, even though it's really just trying to build a sentence.